already made a news analysis of these important articles. Okay, I will show you what should be read here. Okay, I will just give you the context about news articles and what is the important topics to be read here. Okay, few things might be difficult for you to understand because since the classes are not done for you, some static part will be difficult, but I will try to make it as simple as possible. Okay, first we will go from here only. So this is today's newspaper. First page is the edit like advertisement. Okay, next. So this is the first page. I will read out some articles. Tell me which one is more important for UPSC now. Okay. So read this article. Is it important for us? Right? It is very important. So like in the articles they say that what can be expected out of this meeting. That it has been more than 7 years since last time Modi went to China, and what is the geostrategic implications? Meaning India is moving away from USA and moving closer to Russia and China. Okay, there is also talk about RIC. What is RIC? Russia, India, China bloc. So I have already made analysis of this article. I will just explain to you how you should be read. So Modi's China visit after 7 years. The context is Prime Minister Modi arrived in Tianjin, China on his first China visits in 2018. So here, after this visit, he will be attending Shanghai Cooperation Organization's summit as well. And also there will be some bilateral meetings. What is bilateral meetings? Yeah, between only two countries. So multilateral is more than two countries will be there. So in Shanghai Cooperation Organization, there will be multilateral meetings. And after this, there will also be bilateral meeting between Xi Jinping, who is he? Yeah, Chinese president, and Vladimir Putin, and he is president of Russia, sorry. So here, what is the significance is like meeting Xi comes amid warming ties between USA tariffs on China and India. So USA is targeting both India and China, so they are trying to bring their relations closer. And then there is also Russia, India, Ukraine angle. In this meeting, even Zelensky has been asked to come to the meeting. So here he has asked Modi upon arrival, urging him to press Putin for immediate ceasefire. What does this say? It shows that increasing role of Modi as a interpreter or balancer and mediator between these two countries. Okay, they think that like Modi with or India's more relation between Russia. Okay, India's trade relations between Russia is so high that he can play a role between these two countries. So we have to wait and see what will be those things. Okay, there are so many articles about Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Not necessary to read all those things. Wait for the summit to end. After that, you will read all the important outcomes of the Shanghai summit. So today we'll just discuss the strategic dimensions of this meeting. Okay, first will be geopolitical balancing. What is India trying to balance here? China and Russia relations along with USA as well. So India's simultaneous engagement with China and Russia amid Western pressure over the Western countries, Europe and USA, and tariff wars show strategic autonomy. That is, India is basically saying that if you are going to put pressure on us, we are going to find another alternatives. The alternative for India here is China and Russia. Get the point, right? Then Zelensky's outreach indicates expectations of India as a peace bridge between Russia and Ukraine, which signifies the importance of India in global geopolitics. Okay, and then it is again SCO and multilateralism. So SCO summit will be in Tianjin declaration. We have to wait and see what will be the declaration then. It emphasizes on multilateralism and regional stability. What is multilateralism? Yeah, see, in global geopolitics, there are keywords. That is unilateralism. That is one important country or one major country which is dictating all the outcomes of the geopolitics. For many years, this was the case with respect to USA. Post USSR breakdown, USA became a single largest and single most important country in the world. So they were moving towards unilateralism. And after that, there was rise of China. And then this unilateralism converted into bilateralism. Okay, or bipolar world. Now, what the other countries, the regional powers such as India, Japan, Germany, they want to convert this into multipolar world. Okay, multipolar world. So Shanghai Cooperation Organization, United Nations, or all these other regional cooperations are there, right? They are focusing on bringing multilateralism or multipolarity to the world. Okay. Next is also India's pushing for stronger anti-terror language reflects its core diplomatic priority. Okay. So within Shanghai Cooperation Organization, there is one smaller organization called as RATS. What is this RATS? Anyone has any idea? RATS is nothing but Regional Anti-Terrorism Squad kind of thing. Okay, it is basically dealing with anti-terrorism, especially the regions or the regions which are associated with Shanghai Cooperation Organization.
Why it is coming inside this service?
Like it was actually part of SEO. Initially, Shanghai Cooperation Organization was a larger grouping, and they decided that what is the most important problem all the countries are going through, that is terrorism. So we need a dedicated grouping or dedicated separate institutions to deal with terrorism. That is why they came up with RATS. There is another organization called as FATF. Any idea about FATF? Financial Action Task Force. This is a grouping within G7 nations. Okay, so G7 nations are the important nations which came together. Most of the developed countries are the part of G7 nations. So they decided that one of the important or most significant issue in the world is terrorism or money laundering. So they decided to launch FATF. So similarly, Shanghai Cooperation Organization decided to launch RATS. Okay, so it will be dealing with money laundering or terror financing. Understood, right? Next, with respect to trade. So what is the percentage of rise in tariff? 50%, right? So it creates opportunities for India China economic alignment, even though if it is temporary. Okay, this 50% is not going to be permanent. Most probably it is going to end after Modi and Trump meets in UNGA assembly. After that it is going to be ending. Till then India can find for alternatives. Okay, so that we cannot depend on USA for long. Then is the trust deficit on the border issues remain in the background. Like India has the issues with two of the important countries, that is Pakistan and China, especially in the border issues. Recently, there was a conflict between India and China on the border. Do you know any part of the border where they both went clashes, like head-on clashes? Huh? No, Tibet is already part of China. It is already agreed. But recently, there was a issue. There was almost a fight. That is Galwan Valley. Okay, there is Galwan Valley, which is present in Indo-China border. So what happened there was, like there is an agreement between India and China that no matter what the issue is, you are not going to use the weapons, that is firearms. So they decided to use all the smaller weapons like sticks, rods, etc. And with that war itself, more than 60 people died there. So that was largest escalation since 1961 war. So after that, India and China relations came down. So now they are again coming back to the stove. Okay, understood, right? This part. So first we have to address this trust deficit as well, and then go for the trade relations. Next, what will be the implications of this move? Okay, understood, right? Out of one article, all these dimensions can be taken out. The implications first is for India and China relations. Obviously, there will be attempts to stabilize the ties after Galwan Valley or years of border tensions, and then there will be economic compulsions such as tariffs and global slowdown driving the pragmatic engagement. Okay, because the tariffs are not only on India, it is also on China and other countries also. So there will be global slowdown. This slowdown will be forcing other countries to go for bilateral engagements such as India and China or India and Russia. And then is for India, Russia, Ukraine relations. So if at all Modi agrees to be a mediator between Russia and Ukraine, then India's position as a global mediator is obviously going to rise. Okay, that is all. Appeal increases India's diplomatic visibility. These are some key terms which are going to be very important. Will not feel very important now because you are not going to write the mains now. But when you are writing the mains, whenever there is a question about India's significance as a global partner, then these words, diplomatic visibility, diplomatic engagement, disengagement, all these terms become important for you. Next, India. So also India must balance strategic partnership with Russia. Russia has been a evergreen friend of India for a very long time, and global image as a peace advocate. India has always focused on what, like maintaining the peace throughout the world. What is one of the chief doctrine of India's foreign policy? That is peace between countries or global peace. And then for global geopolitics, it showcases India's ever-standing stand, that is non-alignment. Okay, when there was a Cold War happening in the world, that is when there was a issue with USA versus USSR. Most of the countries were either siding with USA or either siding with USSR. But India decided that we are not going to stand with any of these blocks. We are going to become a non-aligned. We are going to maintain strategic autonomy and we will be non-aligned to any of the two countries. So that is non-aligned movement. This again showcases India's non-alignment because we are not siding with Russia, not siding with USA, not siding with China, or not even siding with Ukraine here. Get the point, right? Next, SEO becomes a stage for India strategic signaling. Okay, this is what you can learn out of this particular article. Okay, in the article all these things are not given. These are some of the implications which I decided to discuss with you. Like when you read a particular article, you have to think in these dimensions. Okay, get the point, right? That is about first article. Next, very next to that, there is one more article, that is Trump exceeded his authority to impose global tariffs. Court, which court? Federal Court of USA. What is the highest court of court in India? Supreme Court. Just like Supreme Court, there is Federal Court in USA. They say that if you want to put tariffs on a particular country, the executive authority is only limited. If you want to bring tariffs to an extended limit, you need to bring through legislations. That is, you need to pass laws. Here, Trump didn't pass any law or didn't bring any legislation. He unilaterally imposed tariffs on India. So we'll discuss what the federal governments or federal courts like implications were here and what will be its implications on India and other countries. Okay, that is what becomes important for us. Understood, right? So just a discussion about it. That is, so there were appeals in front of the court that Trump is unilaterally imposing tariffs on different countries, and the Democratic Party, which is the opposition party to Trump's Republican Party, they said that while Trump is doing to do this for MAGA, that is Make America Great Again, it was Trump's campaign. So he is doing it for his own political gains. He is doing it for electoral gains. What is this doing is, it is indirectly hampering the relations of important strategic partners. So these Democrats went to federal court, that is the Supreme Court of USA. They went there. So they declared that Donald Trump overstepped authority in imposing sweeping global tariffs using emergency powers law. That is what the case is in front of the federal court. And what is the federal court's reasoning is, Congress never intended to give the president unlimited authority on tariffs. What is Congress? That is the parliament. What is parliament for India? It is Congress for USA. Okay, not Indian National Congress. That is a different party. Here Congress is the parliament of USA. Next step, Trump plans to appeal to the US Supreme Court. For now, tariffs remain in place. Currently the tariffs are going to be in place, but we have to wait and see what the implications will be. That most probably the federal court is going to say that you have overstepped your executive authority, you have to bring down the tariffs to a certain limit. Get the point, right? So the reactions, I have written these so that these are not necessary for you to read. Okay, not necessary. What Trump said, what the White House said, what the secretary said, these are all not necessary for us. Next, the implications. The implications are going to be very important for us. As I told you, in GS2 there is constitution and polity and governance. In polity and constitution, one of the subtopic is that comparison of constitutions between different countries. Comparison of constitutions or governance between different countries. Okay, here we will discuss different country constitutions or governances. Okay, so here this part, the implications of federal courts meddling of this particular tariff issue. What it does is, it brings US constitutional balance, that is reinforces Congress's constitutional mandate to regulate trade and duties. That is Article 1 Section 8, that is not necessary for us. and then limits the scope of executive unilateralism in trade policy. Okay, there are three main organs of the governance. What are the three main organs? Executive, legislature, judiciary. Okay, so here the judiciary is meddling into this executive, saying that you do not have complete authority. Okay, you have to work within checks and balances between executive, legislature, and the judiciary. Then, for US business and consumers, tariffs had raised costs and created uncertainty, meaning the Indian goods which are imported to USA, okay, or exported to USA, they have become very costly. Okay, regular goods which normal people or the consumers used to buy before are now very costly. So obviously it is resulting in inflation. Then, if stuck down, it could reduce the input cost and stabilize the markets as well. It would cut down inflation. Then, for the global trade, obviously it undermines Trump's unilateral trade war strategy. It says that you cannot bring all the tariffs as you want because we have a government, you have to adhere to laws, you have to adhere to legislations, you have to adhere to judiciary. And then signals possible return to rules-based trade policy. Then it could improve strained ties with US allies hit by tariffs. Which are the allies which were hit by tariffs? Which are the US allies? India, Canada, Russia, all these countries were put by tariffs, were hit by tariffs of Trump. Now, if the tariffs are taken back, obviously it is going to reinforce the relation between these important allies. Okay. Next, for future presidents, that is, it sets a precedent. That is, though you are the president of United States, you have limited power with respect to taxation. You have limited power with respect to tariffs. Okay. Like presidents cannot use emergency powers to circumvent Congress in economic matters. That is, you cannot circumvent Parliament, you cannot circumvent legislature, and then any future tariffs may require legislative backing, slowing down protectionist moves. Okay, this is the small article, but just this can be compared with India as well. Okay, there are most of the times what happens with India is judiciary, legislature, and executive. Most of the times what happens here is, though the legislature is there in India, what is the prerogative of legislature? That is to bring laws, that is to make laws. And what is executive? Yeah, implementing these laws. Implementation. What about judiciary? It checks the constitutional validity of these laws or executive actions. Okay. Constitutional validity. In the recent times, what is happening is the executive are not only implementing the laws, they are making their own laws in India as well. They are bypassing certain checks and balances that are present in Parliament. Okay. So what? Whenever there has been a case of executive overstepping its power, the judiciary has stepped in. There are various cases. I'll just give an example of SR Bommai case. Who was SR Bommai? Chief Minister of Karnataka. So Chief Minister of Karnataka around 1980s. Okay, what happened was the central government, which was the executive, it removed the government of Karnataka, state government. So he went to judiciary. He said that the executive or the government of India is overstepping its constitutional mandate. So do something about it. So judiciary said, okay, we'll evaluate the situation and we'll bring a judgment. After the judgment, judiciary said that you cannot override federalism. Federalism is a basic structure of the constitution, meaning it cannot be removed. So it gave certain recommendations, what you should follow, what you should not follow. Okay, that is what judiciary does. That is what is happening with respect to USA at the moment. So that is why the comparative analysis, what the courts does in different countries and what the court does in India as well. Get the point, right? Okay. Like you will understand about this basic structure doctrine, what is judiciary, etc. when the classes are done. But now just have an idea about it, basic idea. And after this, again, the landslides killed family of 7, floods wash away 4 in Jammu and Kashmir. Though this is very unfortunate event, but about flash floods or about like landslides, we'll be reading anyways in the static part. That you don't have to read it every day. Okay, just understand what is flash floods, what is landslides, and then Modi likely to visit Manipur in September. That is important, but for that you need to know the background. So there will be some articles once Modi visits Manipur. Once there will be some outcomes, there will be important editorials or articles which will explain what happened in Manipur, what is the significance or what is the implications. Then you can read the particular articles. Okay. Next, M.A. Salim appointed as DG or IGP, not necessary for us. And then this one, government ignored industry calls for, yeah please, industry calls for phone surveillance safeguards, says RTI reply. Okay, if you like just see from the outset, it doesn't seem like very important, but inside they're talking about a particular law. What is that law? Telecommunications rules. Telecommunications rules of 2024. So this rules becomes important for us. What are these rules and what are the important provisions of these rules? They become important for us. These will not be provided in the particular article. Here they will not provide complete provisions. You have to go back and read about it. So I have covered this in the analysis here. Okay. So what is the background to this? In 2023 there was a act, that is Telecommunications Act of 2023. It replaced a previous act, that was Telegraphs Act of 1885. It almost took 140 years to replace the old archaic law. Okay. Following this, government notified Telecommunication Rules 2024 in December 2024. After each law, there will be certain rules where they will float it to the citizenry, where they will ask them for certain recommendations, suggestions. Do you want any changes here? They will ask for debates and discussions. And here in the debates and discussions, some of the important stakeholders of this law are companies such as Vodafone India, Vodafone, Idea, Airtel, etc. Those important companies. They provided certain suggestions. They provided certain recommendations which should bring certain changes into these rules. Okay. So lawful interception, that is tapping of calls, internet data in India, is currently authorized by senior government officials. What is tapping of this phone? So normally when you are talking to another person, it is secure, meaning no one is eavesdropping or no one is tapping to the phone. But in certain cases, if there is a criminal issue or if there is a civil issue, okay, the government gets the authority to tap your phone for so and so period of time. Get the point, right? So for example, there is a person A and B, they are talking over the phone and the phone call has important issues related to terrorism, important issues or important information about drug trafficking. Okay, so now what the government can do is they can tap this phone. They can tap this phone, and previously under this Telegraphs Act of 1885, there were certain provisions provided under Telegraphs Act that you can tap it only for 6 months. For that you need to have permission of Union Home Minister, you need to have permission of Union Law Ministers, etc., etc. Provisions were there. So in order to replace this, they brought a new law. Here they provided certain more powers to central government, what were previously provided. Get the point, right? I know it is kind of difficult, but just have an idea about this one. And recently there was an RT application. The RT application was about telecommunications rules. What was telecommunications rules? And the government brought telecommunication rules. It asked for suggestions and recommendations for various stakeholders. What were the recommendations provided by you? Were the recommendations included in the rules or not? Okay, these are the few questions which are raised in RT application. In that RT application, there were certain industry suggestions which are provided by important industries which were ignored. Okay, such as Vodafone Idea. They've asked for clarity and jurisdiction of state home secretaries in issuing intercept orders across states. Okay, when you want to intercept a phone call across the states, there were a provision about state home secretaries. They have the rights. They have the rights to provide interception orders across the states. So Vodafone Idea asked them, what is this jurisdiction? How long? What is the time period? They asked certain questions about this, but they were not accepted here. Okay, so meaning the jurisdiction of state home secretaries is vague even now. Okay, not clear about what is the jurisdiction of home secretaries in this particular case. And next, extreme Infocom and PRS Legislative Research. There is an institution, that is an NGO. PRS Legislative Research is an NGO. They provided certain suggestions. That is, they suggested independent judicial or parliamentary oversight. That is, the oversight of this interception, etc., etc., should be done by an independent authority and not by the government of India. because the government has vested interest. They can target opposition leader, they can target any journalist, etc. So they wanted an independent or parliamentary oversight for this, not the executive oversight. Here also it was not accepted. This recommendation were also not accepted. Only minor changes which the industry suggested were accepted. So that is not necessary for us to know. Just I am explaining this, the RTA review, what is the RTA review and what are the findings here. Okay, whenever a law is brought in, after the law there will be rules released. After the rules are released, it asks for suggestions between different stakeholders. Whether to accept or not accept the suggestions is left to the government. Get the point, right? So these things are not important for us. I'm just explaining you what is there in the article. What is important for us is these particular rules. Telecommunications, procedures and safeguards for lawful interception of messages rules 2024. We'll discuss what is this rule and what is the legal basis and what are the important provisions here. It was issued under Telecommunications Act of 2023. If you want to release any rules, it has to be on a legal basis. There has to be a legislative sanction for that. So the sanction which was provided to this particular rules were Telecommunications Act of 2023. Okay. What is the purpose? It regulates lawful interception of calls and internet data. Normally, what is there in India? There is a right to privacy. Right to privacy is considered as a fundamental right. That is who, like whatever you talk to some other person, what you talk and what the information you are providing, it is private and it is secure between two individuals. So it cannot be tapped by the government or it cannot be intercepted by any other individual. But in certain extraordinary cases, it provides the government authority to intercept this data. Okay, how to intercept that data and when to intercept the data, like how long, all these things will be provided by this particular act. What is the act? Telecommunications Act of 2023. So what is the authorizing authority here? That is senior union or state government officials, that is home secretary level. They will have the authority to provide interception orders or intercepting order. So judicial oversight is not required here. That is, whatever the executive is, the decision is here, it is final. Okay. Then emergency provisions are also provided here. That is, apart from the senior officials, few junior officials may authorize in emergencies must seek confirmation within 2 working days, or else records must be destroyed. Meaning, if you are going to intercept a particular call on an emergency basis, you need to take confirmation within 2 working days. From whom? From the senior officials. If you don't take the confirmation within 2 working days, whatever the data you have recorded, it has to be destroyed within those 2 working days. Okay. Next, what is security? Security is the rules mandate secure communication channels between telecom operators and the government. And then the cost, that is telecommunication companies or the firms must bear interception cost and no government compensation is provided here. Again, this is arbitrary nation, that like arbitrary action here. Okay, so the interception is mainly because of government's use, but who is paying the cost here? Telecommunication firms. This is what the government can say. Okay, it is our rules, we can do whatever we want. That is what they have done here. The criticism here was there was no independent oversight. That is what PRS legislative research requested for, but they have not accepted here. And then jurisdictional ambiguities on the state authorities. That is what Vodafone or Idea requested for. That is also not accepted here. Then concerns of executive overreach and weak safeguards for privacy. These are some of the issues. Okay. Okay. After this, there is no other important articles here. RCB announces 25 lakh tokens of stampede victims. The like very unfortunate event, but not important for us at the moment. So, like what is important here for us is what is stampede, why stampede happens, what are the issues behind stampede. Okay, this is not the first case of stampede in India. Recently, there were many stampedes. Any idea about the stampedes apart from RCB? Kumbh Mela and Tirupati and which one? Yeah, Rath Yatra. One more. There was one more famous actor went to a movie, Allu Arjun movie. There was a stampede. So these things are happening continuously. So there was a debate. So this was in news when I attended interview this year. So there was a question in my interview. What they asked, like, what is the reason behind stampede? Okay, is it only to India or is it happening around the world as well? Okay, So it is not only related to India. There are many cases of stampede in around the world as well. For example, more than 300 people died in Hong Kong, and more than 400 people died in South Korea, and in Texas and New Jersey also many people died. So you have to be ready for what is stampede, what is the reason behind stampede, how do you avoid this stampede, all those things. They become important from your mains perspective. Okay, there can easily be a question about stampede in the mains. Okay, now tell me, is stampede a disaster? Is stampede a disaster? Man-made disaster, right? So under which GS does this come under? Huh? GS3, disaster management. So it may come in GS3. Okay. Again, this Bengaluru and state, it is not necessary for us to, not necessary for us. Keep it here. Okay. So not necessary here. If you are preparing for KPSC or any other state government exams, no, this Nagamohan Das panel becomes important for you. Okay, if you have any idea about, or if you want to have a like alternative future about KPSC or something like that, this Nagamohan panel becomes important. In the recent KPSC means they asked about smart city project. There we had to write about this Nagamohan Das panel. So there can be some important aspects out of this as well, but not necessary for UPSC level. Okay, again this is also not necessary. We'll jump to news page. Again this is also not necessary. Okay. Okay, it is not downloaded properly. Again, they have provided information about landslide. Unfortunate, but not necessary to read again. Then this High Court directs IAF to appoint women in unfilled vacancies. Not that too important for us, because there are other important things which we have to read. And after this, again, like these things, what the opposition says about the government, what government says about opposition, not necessary. This article is important. Can you tell me why is it important? Just read the article name. Why is it important for us? Do you see this VP? What is this VP? Vice President. So constitutional body or constitutional position. So it is important for us. So there will be elections held for Vice President, because who is the previous Vice President? Jagdeep Dinakar, right? So he resigned recently. So as a result, when the post becomes vacant, we have to conduct elections within 6 months of gap. So now they are conducting a new election, and this person, who is this person? Justice B. Sudarshan Reddy. He is the opposition candidate for Vice President election. So he has requested the opposition party MLAs etc. that I want your votes to become the Vice President. So all these news about who is the president, who is going to be Vice President is not important, but the position of Vice President is important for us. Because the election of Vice President is in news, you can expect a question about how the election of Vice President happens in the prelims as well. So just we will discuss about Vice President. Okay. Okay. So I already explained you that is Justice B. Sudarshan Reddy is a former Supreme Court judge nominated as India Block's Vice President candidate. And who is the other candidates? So election will be is set on September 9th, and NDA candidate is CP Radhakrishnan, who is a BJP veteran from Tamil Nadu, and opposition candidate is Justice B. Sudarshan Reddy from Telangana. So the not okay, this is important for us. Vice presidential election in India. How does vice president's election happen? So there is a constitutional basis here, that is under Article 63. What does Article 63 say? It says that there shall be a Vice President of India. There shall be meaning there has to be a Vice President of India. If there is a vacancy, you have to conduct election within a specified amount of time. Article 63. And this 66 and 67 articles talks about election procedure and tenure. They have provided a procedure. Whenever you conduct an election for Vice President, you have to follow this procedure and the tenure of Vice President. For how many years you have to be in the post. So, we will discuss what is the election procedure. Before election procedure, we have to understand what is electoral college. Any idea about what is this electoral college? Not like university or college. This is different college. Yeah, like people who are eligible to vote in the election. All those people are considered as electoral college. This electoral college differs for president, differs for vice president. It is different for Supreme Court, etc., etc. Okay. So in vice president's election, the electoral college is very important. Elected and nominated members of Rajya Sabha as well as Lok Sabha. Elected as well as nominated members of Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha. But it doesn't include state legislatures. Okay, whereas in president elections, it only includes elected members from Rajya Sabha, Lok Sabha plus state legislative action. Okay, assemblies. So voting is through single transferable vote and it is by secret ballot. You don't know who voted for who. Okay. Next, what is the eligibility? That is, if you want to conduct or if you want to contest for this vice president post, you have to be citizen of India, must, and you have to be 35 years of age. Next is qualified to be elected as Rajya Sabha member. These are some qualifications are there for being elected as Rajya Sabha member. You have to be 30 years of age and you have to get elected to a particular Rajya Sabha, and then cannot hold an office of profit. This office of profit in the sense any post which is given by government of India, where salary is given by the government of India. If you are receiving salary out of the government of India, then it is considered as an office of profit. So if you are holding an office of profit, first you have to resign from office of profit. Only then you will be able to contest for elections. Okay, these are some eligibility. Only after you possess this eligibility, you are able to participate in this election. You saw this particular person, right? This is Sudarshan Reddy. He is a India Bloc Vice President candidate. He is ex-Supreme Court judge. Because he is ex-Supreme Court judge, he is eligible. If he was a serving Supreme Court judge, he was not eligible to contest in this election. Why? Because Supreme Court judge post is itself an office of profit. Get the point, right? So, next, the term. That is, once you are elected as Vice President, you have a term of 5 years and can resign to President. If you want to resign, you have to resign it to President, and the President can resign it to Vice President. Removal only by Rajya Sabha resolution with the majority and agreement of Lok Sabha. Okay, the removal process of Vice President can be initiated only in Rajya Sabha, but it is not the case with respect to President. It can be initiated either in Rajya Sabha or in Lok Sabha. Okay, and then once the resolution is accepted, then there will be procedure, that is effective majority from the Lok Sabha and then simple majority from Lok Sabha. Rajya Sabha. All these things you will understand. Effective majority and simple majority will be explained in the class. Now I am just telling you the terms. Okay, and then role is a very important role is why the post of Vice President becomes important is he is also acting as ex officio chairman of Rajya Sabha. Okay, who is the chairman of Lok Sabha? Speaker. So there is a separate role of speaker. So here the president doesn't have to be speaker of Lok Sabha, but it is not the case with respect to vice president. Along with being a vice president, he also has a role of chairman of Rajya Sabha, basically the speaker of Rajya Sabha as well. So once a vice president is not there in the office, there is also vacancy in chairman of Rajya Sabha. So the election becomes important here. Get the point, right? And then like presiding over the proceedings, maintaining the order, everything is done by vice president only. Next, he acts as a president in case of vacancy until new president arrives. Suppose, unfortunately, if the president dies, or unfortunately the president resigns, or if there is an absence or vacancy, then the vice president fills in until the next election happens, until the next president comes in. Okay. Again, comparison with respect to USA is that in India, if there is a vacancy or absence, The vice president only fills the office till new election is conducted. Whereas in USA, if the president dies or vacates his office, vice president becomes the president there. Get the point, right? It is not the same case with respect to India. How you can compare different governances, constitutions. Okay. Then the significance is, though it is largely ceremonial, meaning you can only do the proceedings and all, but the post of vice president plays a very important role in Rajya Sabha proceedings. And then election often reflects political elements in the parliament. Meaning if the vice president is from the ruling party, meaning there is a larger majority of the ruling party. If the president or vice president is from the opposition party, then there is going to be changes in the upcoming elections. Okay, this is why this article is important. Most of the times you might have just skipped this article because you think, who is this person, what is this VP? Not necessary for us, but very important. Okay, next, again not necessary here. GST demands of states not ruled by BJP like legitimate. That is, if the comment was given by GST Council or if the comment was given by Election Commission of India or Supreme Court, then this article would have been very important for us. But the comment is given by opposition party. Okay, not necessary here. See this guy, Jagdeep Dhanakar. He was the ex vice president who resigned here. Okay, he is asking for pension from Rajasthan Assembly as a former MLA. Again, not necessary for us. This awkward meets manifest at the SEO event. Article is very important, but no, not necessary to read now, because once the event happens, there will be other articles, editorials which will cover the events completely. But what we can discuss is about SEO. What is SEO? When did it start? We'll discuss about that. Okay. So this is awkward meets first at the SEO event. Context is SEO summit will be held in Tianjin, China, and Prime Minister Modi is already there in Tianjin, China. We already discussed the recent meeting of Prime Minister Modi and Xi Jinping. That we already discussed. Now we'll discuss about Shanghai Cooperation Organization. When it was founded? 2001 in Shanghai, China. And the origins? Initially, there was another organization called as Shanghai 5, which included China, Russia, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, and Tajikistan. It later evolved into Shanghai Cooperation Organization. From 5 to now, there are 9 members. What are the 9 members? China, Russia, India, Pakistan, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, and Iran. Remember this Iran. Most of the times we tend to forget this Iran. Okay. Next, observers. In most of the organizations, apart from the full-time members, there are also observer status given to different countries. So here the observers are Afghanistan and Belarus. Okay, and Mongolia. These are the observer countries.
What is the function of the observers?
See, it is basically like rehearsal. If you find this corporation to be useful for us, you can join as a complete member later. And if there has to be some region like geographical connectivity between those countries and this Shanghai Cooperation Organization as well. These are neighboring countries only. Afghanistan is a neighboring country of India, China, all this Iran, etc. So they can be a part of observer status initially, and then they can join the SEO completely. Okay, and then the dialogue partners are Nepal, Sri Lanka, Turkey, Azerbaijan, Armenia, Cambodia, Egypt, Saudi, Qatar, UAE, etc. Not necessary to remember all these things, but this is very important for you. All these 9 important full members are important for you. There can easily be a prelims question. The question may be like this. Consider the following countries. They will give 5 countries. Which of the above 5 countries are part of Shanghai Cooperation Organization? And the options will be 3 only, 2 only, 1 only, 4 only, like this. Okay, for that you have to know all these 9 members. Next, what is the objective? Objective is to promote regional security. Regional security from anti-terrorism, extremism, or separatism. Okay, India is always facing all the 3 things: terrorism, extremism, and separatism. Terrorism, where? In Jammu and Kashmir and Punjab border. Extremism, where? In Maoism and Naxalism. And separatism, which part of India? Manipur, northeastern states. So even like China is also facing this terrorism and separatism. Any idea which part of China they are facing? Tibet is separatism and extremism or terrorism. There is one region called as Uyghur. The Uyghur region is dominated by Muslims. Okay, the Chinese Communist Party doesn't follow any particular religion, so they are like what you can say, they are pushing the pushing the Muslims of this particular region. So there the Uyghur Muslims are like fighting against Chinese government. So they are also facing terrorism there. Get the point, right? Next, it is also enhancing economic cooperation and connectivity, and then foster political trust among the Eurasian states, and then balancing the influence of Western allies. That there is different organizations out there of Western countries, that is NATO, US-led trade blocs, etc. So we have to have an alternative for this as well. That is Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Okay. So what is the institutional mechanisms? For any organization, it has to work. There has to be institutional mechanisms. That is, there is heads of state council, which is the higher decision making body. Who are the heads of state council? That is the prime ministers, presidents of different countries form the part of heads of state council. They will be making the decisions. Next, heads of the government council, which will make issues with, decisions on economic and administrative issues. And then comes regional anti-terrorist structure, that is RATS, regional anti-terrorist structure, which is based in Tashkent. Where is this Tashkent? Uzbekistan. Any like familiarity with respect to this particular term, Tashkent city? Any idea about this? There was recently a series on this Tashkent. So this is the place where Lal Bahadur Shastri. Who? Who was this Lal Bahadur Shastri? Yeah, ex-prime minister, second prime minister of India, right? He was second prime minister. He was assassinated in Tashkent trip. Okay, that is why this Tashkent is important. Initially, this Tashkent was part of USSR. What is this USSR? Uh, Union Soviet Socialist Russia. Union of Socialist and Soviet Russia. So it was part of Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan. They were all part of USSR. After the breakdown of USSR, they became a different countries. Next, what is India and ESO's like SEO's relations? So India was not a like founding member of this one. So there will be questions in prelims also. Consider the following statements. India is the founding member of Shanghai Cooperation Organization, and Pakistan is the founding member of Shanghai Cooperation Organizations, and Belarus is now a full member of Shanghai Cooperation Organizations. And the options will be which is the correct statement: one only, two only, three only. So all the three statements will be wrong here because India, Pakistan, and Belarus are not the full-time members or not the founding members of SEO. Get the point, right? Anything related to any institution, we have to understand when India joined them. That becomes very important. Founding member is, that is, you will be part of the institution when it evolved in the beginning itself. For example, India is a founding member of BRICS institution. Is it right or not? BRICS. Yeah, in the name only it suggests BRICS. So interest is mainly energy and connectivity. India's energy and connectivity runs through Central Asia, INSTC, Chabar Post. What is INSTC? Like India North South Trade Corporation. Okay, they are trying to bring a trade route from India to north of Europe. Okay, that is again trade route. Next, security, that is the respect of terrorism and Afghanistan stability. All these things will be discussed here. And balancing act, that is engagement with Russia, China, while maintaining ties with US and Quad. We'll discuss about this another time. That Quad and other things are very important, which cannot be discussed in one single video. Okay, so this is what you have to remember about SEO. Once the SEO summit gets over, then you will understand what are the important outcomes of this SEO summit and its implications will be discussed again. But here, this is the static part. For each topic, there will be static part and then the current topic parts. This is the static here. Okay. Next is, after this, again, Modi Ishiba take a bullet train to Sendai. Where is the Sendai? Sendai, where is the Sendai? Where is bullet train? Japan, obviously. So Modi like recently visited Japan. He was in Tokyo. So he traveled through bullet train. Any idea about bullet train in India? Will there be any bullet train in India? There was recently a meeting of India and Japanese heads. They said that there will be bullet train from Ahmedabad to Delhi. Ahmedabad to Delhi or Ahmedabad to Mumbai. There will be bullet train in coming 10 years. So that is still in news. Okay, still in talks. We can discuss about this once the meeting ends. What is India and Japan relations? Why Japan is significant for India? What is the role of India and Japan in Indo-Pacific? Okay, and then High Court like directs center to respond on plea against RMG ban law. Again, not necessary since it is High Court. If it is Supreme Court or if it was any important law, then you could discuss this one. Next, all these things are most of the times the articles in the business will not be very important for us. And then uh, ancient humans evolved to walk on two legs in two steps. This is again, if your optional was anthropology, it would become very important for you. Any findings here? And microbes that digest plastic may fuel antibiotic resistance. Here, this article would have been important for us if it focused mainly on antibiotic resistance. But I read the article here, they're focusing on genetic making of these microbes, etc. Not necessary for us. What is the genetic composition of microbes and how the microbes work? Not necessary for us. But if the article was talking about antibiotic resistance, it would have been important for us. Any idea what is antibiotic resistance is? Antibiotic resistance. What is antibiotics? Yeah, antibiotics. So basically like this. Okay. So what is antibiotic? It is a medicine which is given to patients. That is, there is a patient or any individual, he will have certain pathogens. What is this pathogens? Which causes the diseases. Okay, these antibiotics or antimicrobials work against this pathogen. Okay, that is basically the work of these antibiotics. Now, if you overuse this antibiotic, like more than what is necessary, what happens here is over the period of time, these pathogens develop resistance. Resistance against what? Resistance against antibiotics. Previously, for this particular patient, if this antibiotic is given, then he would get cured. Now he is not no longer able to get cured because this pathogen has developed resistance. That is called as antibiotic resistance or antimicrobial resistance. There are various reasons why this happens. That is when you provide antibiotics in a larger quantity, when you use it in lower quantity, all those things that we will discuss again in the static part. Just an idea. Here they are focusing more on the microbes. That is why I did not discuss about this one. Again, not necessary for us here. This can be important for prelims time. Orangutans feast on fruits to prep for famine. Why it is important? So in 2023 there was an interesting question. Okay, the question was, which among the following animal can use hands like human beings, or which of the following animals can use sticks to take the juice out of like honeybees? And the options were a honey badger, bear, and one more I forgot the name, and the fourth one was orangutan. What would be the appropriate answer for that one? Hmm? Orangutan, right? That is, if you have seen any documentaries, like wildlife documentaries in Nat Geo or like Animal Planet, you would see these orangutans using the sticks. That we poking the sticks inside ant holes, and then they eat ant as well. So these kind of like trivial questions are being asked in UPSC prelims as well. So like apart from all the static parts, you have to have an idea about all the different things around the world. Okay. And they asked about which of the following insects do the wiggle dance. That was the question. Wiggle dance, and the options were honeybees, butterflies, ants. Something was there, and the answer was honeybees. Okay, so that those kind of things are becoming very important from prelims perspective, especially. Okay, so just whenever you read or whenever you see the documentaries, right, just have an idea about important things, etc. Again, what is the top quotes order on social media? This we'll discuss again differently because it is talking about a particular act. There are some 5 4 cases are also given, so we have to discuss about each cases differently. Dwaraka case, etc., etc. There, Puttaswamy case is there, so we have to know a basic idea about all this Dwaraka case, Puttaswamy case. If I explain them without the case idea, then it will be no use for you. Okay. And how did Kerala pull off digital literacy feat? Again, very state-based question, not necessary for us. This is not necessary. This is Peter Navarro, who is a US trade ambassador, a trade advisor. He called Ukraine war as India's war, as we discussed yesterday, right? Ukraine's war as India's war. Again, not necessary. And then this Houthi PM Al Rahawi killed in Israeli air attack. You just have to have an idea about Houthi rebels. Who are these Houthi rebels? What is it? It is a terrorist group similar to Hamas, similar to Lashkar-e-Taiba. Where is Hamas? Palestine. So Palestine, it is a terrorist group based in Palestine. That is Hamas. These Houthi rebels are the terrorist group which is based in Yemen. They normally attack Israel. They normally attack Saudi Arabia, etc. countries. So recently, Israel carried out an air attack where they killed the president or prime minister of Houthi rebels. So that is just have an idea about Houthi rebels. Again, rest of the articles are very unfortunate, but again, from the UPSC perspective, not important for us. Again, then there is a sports. I think there are two more articles in the international edition. That is, there is an article about Adivani app launch. Okay, this becomes very important for only prelims. Okay, Adivani app launch. What is this Adivani app launch? What is Adi? Ancient kind of things. So Adivasis, tribals. So this is a new app which is launched in to help tribals. What is this app? It is an AI based. What is AI? Artificial intelligence based translation model for Adivasi languages. Okay. So previously it was very difficult to understand Adivasi languages. Now with this particular app, you can translate Adivasi languages into Hindi or English. Okay. This is why this app becomes important for us. Then the beta version to be launched on Monday by the Ministry of Tribal Affairs, and it is also part of Adi Karma Yogi initiative. So there is Adi Karma Yogi initiative by the government of India, which aims to build capacity in tribal districts. That is, it wants to provide skilling opportunities for tribal people. Okay, yesterday we discussed, right, in the social issues, one of the major discriminated or most disadvantaged community was STs or tribals. So in that aspect, they are trying to provide certain avenues or initiatives for tribals here. So what languages are covered here? This is the phase 1. The languages are Bili or Bilodi. There are 1.04 crore speakers of this particular language. Like, have you heard of this language before? No, right? So there are so many dialects or languages in India. Like, according to periodic labor, language survey of India, there are more than 460 languages in India and more than 10,000 dialects in India. Okay, so it is one of the important languages which is spoken by 1.04 crore speakers belonging to bills or below the communities or below the tribals. Majorly in Rajasthan, MP, Maharashtra and Gujarat. And then there is Santali language which is spoken by Santals. We will discuss about this Santalis, Santals, etc. in modern India in tribal revolts. Okay, or if your option is anthropology, we will discuss about them very deeper. Here just remember, like, more than 73 lakh people are speaking this Santali language, and the people are belonging to Jharkhand, Odisha, West Bengal, Bihar and Assam. And then Gondi language. Gondi is a language also, and also it is the name of the tribe as well. Gonds is the tribe name. 30 lakh people, Chhattisgarh, MP, Andhra Pradesh and Maharashtra. And then Mundari language. Munda is a tribal name and the language they speak is Mundari. 11.28 lakh. And then Kui, 9.41 lakh people are there in Odisha. And then there is Garo. Garo is spoken in Meghalaya and Assam, northeastern states. So there are so many tribal people are present in India. There are so many tribal languages. Most of the tribal languages are on the verge of extinction. Why? Because there is no script for them. If there is no script for them, it is very difficult to preserve them. So as a result, in order to preserve these things, there is a new app. So obviously it is going to work as a speech to text. If you speak in like the particular language, it will be converted to text into Hindi or English language. Okay. So not necessary to understand these things. These are for people who are going to read it and not listen to the news analysis things. Okay. This document is there. So what is the significance of this particular app? That it helps in cultural preservation, because the tribal languages are very endangered and they are on the verge of extinction. So by this you are able to preserve them. Okay, the language itself is a part of culture. If you are preserving the language, you are preserving the culture. Next, government impact will be it enables better communication between the government officials and tribal communities, which will make governance easier. Service provision will be very easier now. And then AI and inclusivity. That is, it is a prime example of using artificial intelligence for inclusion. Okay, that is, who are we including here? We are including tribals here. So it is going to help in social good. Again, just tell me what is this particular example is going to be important in which part of the syllabus? Which part?
Science and technology.
Artificial intelligence is science and technology. What about artificial intelligence and inclusivity?
So it's
Ethics and social issues, governance. There it is very important. You can quote an example. Okay, best practices of the governance. You can quote this example. And the challenges are finding enough linguistic experts is a time consuming, and also expanding beyond six languages. That is more than 750 tribal dialects are there. So that is scaling up will be obviously are going to be an issue. Then that is all. And the last article for today is there was another article in the international system which talked about Gangotri glacier system. There is an article which said that Gangotri glacier is melting at the faster rate than what was expected. So they are saying that in the like distant future we are going to witness a Ganga which is dried up. Okay, because what is Gangotri glacier? It is the source of Ganga river. Okay, if the Gangotri glacier is burning or melting up, then obviously there will be no like water like storage or water seepage into Ganga river as well. So first we'll discuss about Ganga glacier system. So there are many glaciers which within the Ganga glacier system. System means there are more than one glaciers are there. They together are called as Gangotri glacier. So that is Meru glacier which is around 7.7 kilometers square, and then Raktavaran glacier which is around 30 kilometers square, and then Chaturangi and Gangotri. All these together are called as Gangotri glacier system. Okay, and the area is around 549 square kilometers. That is how big the glacier is. And then elevation is around 3,767 to 7,072 meter. Not necessary for us. This is important, especially from geography perspective. Like what is the source of water? That is precipitation. During the winter, it is western disturbance. There will be rainfall coming from Punjab, which feeds into Ganga river. And during the summer, Indian monsoon. You will understand about western disturbance, etc. when the classes for geography is done. Okay, and then this findings. So this recently there was an article that in today's article there was publishing that there is a peak discharge shift. That is, before 1990, the peak discharge was in August, meaning the glacier was going to melt in during the August time. Now, after 1990, peak shifted to July. Okay, there is a 1 month earlier peak. Get the point, right? Due to reduced winter precipitation and plus early summer melting. Okay, you might think it is a good thing, right? Instead of coming in August, it is coming early, 1 month early only, it should be better. But at the short, like in the short period of time, it is going to lead to floods. In the longer period of time, it is going to lead to droughts because the glacier is going to melt earlier than what was expected. Okay, so not necessary. What is the discharge composition is not necessary. Trends observed is very important for us. That is, snow cover is declining, which is leading to reduced snow melt contribution, and rainfall runoff and base flow is rising due to global warming plus intense monsoon rains, which is leading to increased cloud burst, flash floods, etc. etc. Okay. Next, mean annual temperature is also rising, but no significant changes in the overall precipitation. And this one, how did climate change is impacting the water cycle system of Gangotri here? What is climate change?
summer and winter.
No, that the change in climates etc. that you are talking about, summer, winter etc. is like different types of climates. Okay, summer, winter. But climate change is something which is taken in a broader context. Okay, over the period of time, the Earth has evolved into ice age, summer age, ice age, summer ages. That complete change from ice age to water age or the summer age is called as climate change. So now currently people are saying that in like Earth is going towards a climate change, meaning there is a higher temperature rise. There is what is this called as? There is global warming. What is global warming? The average temperature of the Earth is increasing. When the average temperature increases, it is obviously going to impact lots of things such as snow cover, When the snow cover melts, what does it lead to? Yeah, sea level is going to rise. And the sea level is going to rise, what will happen? All the countries, all the states which are adjacent to the seas are going to submerge. Okay, there is a very interesting country. There is a country or island called as Tuvalu or Tulavu. Okay, this is a small island nation which is present in like near to Australia, Polynesian state. They are saying that within 30 to 40 years, within 30 40 years, this particular island is going to be completely submerged. Okay, whole island is going to be submerged. More than 7 lakh people are living in this particular island. Okay, if the complete country is going to melt or complete country is going to submerge underwater, what about these people? Okay, so those are the issues which are being faced by island countries. That is climate change. You'll learn about climate change in detail completely. What is the issues, what is the reason, what the government are doing, what the international countries are doing, the Paris climate agreement should be discussed. All these things will be discussed here. So, because of climate change, there is earlier snow melt, that is, summers are more warmer and faster melting, which is resulting in earlier peak discharge, and reduced winter snow, that is, winter precipitation from the western disturbances is reducing. Again, western disturbances is something, if this is India, okay, this is India, there is a rainfall coming from this end, rainfall coming from Pakistan side, like western side. This is called as western disturbances. Western disturbances. This is actually because of a temperate cyclone. Okay, again, temperate cyclone is another different thing. Because of the temperate cyclone, there will be rainfall in the western parts of India, especially Punjab and Himachal Pradesh, Haryana. This is called as western disturbances. Why this happens? What is the mechanism behind this? You will again, you will have to go through static part. You will understand it better. Now next is the rainfall impact is increasing because of the stronger snow melt and stronger monsoons. There is more intensifying the floods downstream. There are more cloud bursts. There are more what is that, flash floods. There are more floods and more glacial lake outbursts. And then changing hydrological balances, that is shifting from snow melt dominance to rainfall runoff dominance. Previously, Ganga River or all the Himalayan rivers were fed more from the snow melt and less from the monsoon. But now it is changing because snow melt is melting at a faster rate. So there is lesser snow now. And then there is a risk of extreme events. That is, extreme events are erratic floods, which are also called as cloud burst and stem from warming induced heavy rainfall events. So this is what was there in that article. Okay, I will discuss about this very completely. So implications anyway already discussed in here only. That is, there will be lesser water availability in the short term. There will be floods in the long term. There will be droughts. Okay, all these things. So these are a few articles which from today's newspaper were very important for us. Rest of the articles you could have skipped it. Okay. So what kind of articles you should read and what are the context and how you should read should be like this. Okay. So I decided to give an example for you. Next time when you read the articles or when you read the newspaper, keep this in mind. Okay. What is important for us and what should be read. Any doubts you have? Like yesterday I was recommended by the management that I have to ask each individual if you have any other doubts. So if you have any doubts with you, you can come and ask me afterwards. I'll be here only. Or if you want, you can ask here only.
What is single transfer?
Yeah, again, in voting system, there is a different methods of voting. Okay, single transferable vote. Normally in elections, what happens here is you will vote for one person. Okay, you will vote for one person, and that vote is not transferred to another person. Okay, normally there is a election to Yalanka. Okay, consider there is a election to Yalanka. Election to Yalanka. Who is the MLA now? Any idea? I also have no idea. Okay, some MLA is there. A, B, C. Three persons are contesting from BJP, Congress, and JDS. Okay, so you choose to vote for person belonging to BJP. Okay, your vote is fixed to him only. It cannot be transferred to another person. But what happens with respect to president and vice president voting is president or vice president voting. The candidates are so less. Okay, candidates will be maximum 2 to 3 persons will be candidates. So A, B, C, and the electoral college is also very less. Electoral college is also very less. What is the electoral college of vice president? Yeah, who elected and nominated members of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Elected plus nominated, which will amount to around 532. Okay, since there are three members which are present here, so these 532 members are going to vote for A, B, C. One in the first round of voting, if the votes are, if there is no clear dominance, if there is no clear majority of an individual, what they do is, suppose A has got around 230 votes, B has got around 228 votes, and the C has got around 30 votes or something. Okay, what they do is they will allow for another voting because there is no clear majority here. If you want to bring a clear majority, it has to be another voting. Now the person who has voted for this C, third person, right? This person will be eliminated from the election. All these 30 votes, they will be allowed to vote for another person. So the vote is being transferred here. Understood, right? In the normal elections, the vote is not allowed to transfer. Here, the vote will be transferred. That is single transferable vote.
Because the majority is less in this.
Yeah, less in C. So he cannot, even if there is another voting, if there is another election, he is not going to win. That is decided. So let us fight between two important other members who are able to obtain the majority. Get the point, right? That is single transferable vote. It will be explained in clear when the classes are going on. Just basic idea is this one. Yes. Any other doubts?
So with the telecommunication also,
Hmm.
that they put there's a talk about terrorism or something.
Hmm.
How do they know if they're talking about terrorism?
See, there are intelligence agencies, right? What is the intelligence agencies in India? What is IB? Intelligence Bureau is there. Intelligence Bureau. What is RAW? It is also intelligence agency of India. So they will have certain contacts. Okay, they will be dealing with a particular individual for a long period of time. They will have certain information from their particular source of information. So when they get a particular suspicion about a particular individuals, then they will go for this act. Then they will go for this particular law. Okay, only if there is a threat to national security, only if there is a threat to safety and security of the society. Okay, they cannot tap to any person like on their whims and wishes. They have to follow protocols. That protocol is provided in this act. Okay, yes, any doubts? Any other doubts apart from the topic? Okay, so I have told you the classes, I have explained you everything today. So do go for, like, go back to the room and follow the method I told you, that is P3 method. We'll read about today, and tomorrow again there will be news analysis after coming to the YouTube. You watch that YouTube analysis, and just before you read that YouTube analysis, you revise from what you read today. Okay, follow that method. Okay, once the classes happens, you can just stop discussing about newspaper and then focus on the static part. Okay, get the point, right? Fine then. If you have any doubts, if you want to discuss in an individual way, if you want mentorship, you can come to me. I'll be there in the office. Okay, shall we end the session then? Okay then.